What is this?
Yep. It is the Cade Crusader.
My thoughts exactly.
It is the Cade Crusader.
Boom. There we go.
I got the Cade Crusader shirt on. We had to come correct. Okay? You guys see this, right?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I see it. Trust me.
You guys see this. It is the Cade.
Jeff doesn't look happy at all.
Shout out to Woodward Pistons. You know what it is. I know it's starting off a little bit different today, but we had to. We got the man, Jeff Ifredi, in the building. We don't know where Detroit Kool-Aid is. We are welcoming to the set Mr. Andrew Jonna. Just to set the stage for him, he held down the Pistons coverage for Woodward Sports for what? Almost the first 6, 7, 8 months?
Yeah, first 6, 7, 8 months, yeah.
Yeah, writing, jumping on all the shows, everything. He was doing everything. It was actually my introduction to Woodward Sports Pistons coverage. It was through Mr. Andrew Jonna. And let's drum it up. I don't know how I feel about Jeff doing it this week, but we'll let him. Welcoming to the show, as always, and I didn't say this last time, but the legend. See, Jeff was gone and just messed everything up.
It did.
But the legend
The whole
with
feng
us.
shui.
Detroit News Rod Beard, man. What's good, brother?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Yeah. Now, you've seen the attire, right? So you understand what's about to happen here.
I don't, but okay.
Mr. Jeff has questions to answer.
Oh, yeah.
He was mysteriously
he does.
gone last week, and we had to call in the Cade Crusader.
Oh no.
Mysterious.
We had to call in the Cade Crusader, man, to get the answers. Where were you?
Listen, man, and I texted you this I don't remember the last time I slept through my alarm like that in quite some time. I woke up.
Lies.
And it was one of those moments. It's one of those moments where you wake up and everything hits you at once, and you realize what time is it, number one, and number two, what the hell's going on? And it was a reality check. But
Now,
if I
am the world's greatest detective. That was also Memorial Day weekend, wasn't it?
it was.
Were there libations involved? Were there?
Okay, actually, to be completely honest, I was actually sober. So I don't know how I missed completely. I just slept.
Were you, though?
Well, at least Monday night I was. Not that weekend prior, a couple days before. But Monday I was fine. Monday night. I don't know what happened Tuesday and Wednesday. It was sad. It was sad. What happened again?
Do you have any questions for him?
Are you over 17? Who the hell sleeps through an alarm anymore? After a certain age?
Rod, I get the concern. That's how I felt when I woke up.
I mean, how do you sleep through an alarm and be an adult at the same time? Probably the last time is in college when you've been out all night. You got an 8:30 class for whatever reason. And then you just wake up like, okay, am I going or not going? I'm not going. Okay, so that's how it is. But that should be the last time that you wake up late. This is very clearly a man without kids, because people with kids don't wake up late. We're trained not to. It becomes part of our fiber not to wake up late for anything. So we have a lot of DNA here. We have a lot of evidence to kind of work through. We don't know how old he is. He doesn't have kids. We could figure this thing out we could do the first 48 and figure this thing out.
Detective Gordon over here. He's getting grilled by Detective Gordon and the Cade Crusader.
All right, you know what? I will take blame, but I will say this: my lady, she got COVID, so she wasn't with me. And usually I got that safety blanket because she wakes up the same time I wake up for work. So if I don't wake up, she'll wake up. I was on my own that day, Rod. All right, and I failed the mission. I failed the mission.
Since he brought in this lady, he was honest with us and everything. You know what? I get that one. You know, as just regular old Detroit Kool-Aid, bro. She ironed my shirt this morning. So, my lady.
God.
So, you know what I'm saying? I get it. She helped me get out the door. Rod looks like he is disappointed, bro.
But Mr. Crusader, we have to get on him for throwing her under the bus, completely under the bus. It's her fault. She had COVID. That's otherwise I would have been good. It's her fault.
It's her fault.
I gotta deflect, Rod. I gotta deflect.
Okay, so
now Jeff's the Joker.
Right. So young age, not married very clearly, because he would know not to throw her under the bus, and no kids. We have a profile of our guy right now. We know what's going on.
I'm young, irresponsible, and I deflect.
Enjoy those years. Enjoy those years while you can.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
look, we'll let him off the hot seat now. I know we got some business to
It's
get
steaming,
to.
man. It's
We got
steaming.
some. Look, I did get down to Alabama. We're going to talk about that one on the next episode because, Rod, we talked about this flying versus driving. I was trying to talk it up. That drive almost took me out, man.
Dude,
It almost took me out this time. I'm on fumes right now, but we're going to talk about it next time. Hey, people down there.
Just real quick on this. Anytime you drive somewhere that you should have flown, in my mind, I calculate the time that the flight would have taken and say I could be home right now. I'm 4 hours into this drive, but I could be home right now if I had flown. Yeah. And that's the difference. That's how I know I'm just going to fly everywhere. I'm not driving anywhere beyond 3 hours. If it's past Chicago, we're flying.
Jeff, Jonna, look, last time we had this conversation, I had this conversation with Rod. I was talking about, you can save gas. You can save money on travel. Not this time. Oh, my gosh. Everything was doubled, man. Everything.
Especially now, dude.
Especially now. It was crazy. But we're going to talk about it because it was some fun stuff. It was some Pistons stuff that came from there. Some fans of the teal jerseys down there. I was like, hey, you guys are fans of the Pistons? They were like, who? Well, we just like the way it looks. But, hey, that matters too, right?
Yeah.
I was down in Alabama.
What jersey was it?
Oh, the teal, Grand Hill.
Grand Hill. Okay.
Yep.
Grand Hill.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I actually saw one Cade Cunningham jersey, though. I didn't get a chance to speak to that individual, but I did get to speak to at least 3 people who had the teal jersey, which was interesting. But we have some business to take care of. Some business. We're going to get into Sharpe and Mathurin, but I want to get to really quickly, maybe spend a couple minutes on it, just Saddiq Bey. I know we've talked about him ad nauseum, and I know Rod has written some really in-depth articles about who Saddiq Bey is as a person, which actually gives me a little bit more insight to what I believe he's going to be as a player. Sometimes we see the skills and the talents, and we're doing it right now with prospect breakdowns, and we don't quite know how's that going to arc. But with a Saddiq Bey and getting to kind of take a peek behind the veil, we get a sense that this guy wants to be great. And I know that we see it with Cade because of his intangibles have related really quickly, whereas Saddiq Bey has continued to develop. Mm-hmm. Where do you guys believe he's going to get? I know we've kind of bantered it about, but is he a future star?
I'll start with Rod.
A star like who? I mean, star has so many connotations now. We talk about, I saw somewhere that LeBron is a mega star now instead of a superstar. Is he going to be like a Jason Tatum? I think that's about where the ceiling is like an first team all NBA sort of guy. He might get there once, but his work ethic will get him there. And knock on wood, he hasn't been injured. If he can stay healthy, just his work ethic, his ability, he'll get stronger. And I mean, if your coaches have to tell you to stay out of the gym because you work too much and too hard and they don't want you to wear out during the summer, then you've got a lot of good things working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going to go with it as well. I mean, if you're talking about being a 1A, maybe that's a different conversation. But for Saddiq and this team, I mean, I think, honestly, he could be eventually, considering how hard he works, he could be like a Jaylen Brown to our Jason Tatum, possibly, especially considering his game and how well it works with Cade Cunningham. I think there's definitely, working that hard, it don't matter what the ceiling is for a player, that matters. Because you look at a player like, oh, his ceiling is this, but you need the work ethic, and Saddiq checks those boxes. So I think as a player, certainly I think the ceiling would be like a Jaylen Brown to our Jason Tatum. I think he could be a co-star. I don't think he'd be, the best player on our team, but certainly a very important piece. No doubt about it.
Definitely. Jonna, how you doing, brother?
Good.
One more time, just to reintroduce Mr. Andrew Jonna. Hey, he covered Pistons here for Woodward Sports for a long time, and he's actually here with us on the first show that we get to break in the Woodward Pistons canvas back there. If you could move to the side a little bit. Yeah.
We're Hollywood now.
Hey, we're big, man. Thank you guys for the support. Hey, let us know what you think of it in the comments, definitely. And let us know what you think about Saddiq Bey, too.
Yeah.
But what about you, Jonna?
I like Saddiq Bey. I like what Jeff said about how he's almost like a Jaylen Brown to a Jason Tatum. I could see him being a future all-star in this league. I could see him being an all-NBA guy. I think what's really great about him is his shooting. And that's what I love about him is his shooting, how he's not afraid to shoot the ball. But when he's not shooting that well, he does other things like Jason Tatum did another night. Right. He makes assists. He helps his teammates out. If it's a bad night for him, it's okay. He'll help the ball, give the ball to Cade, give the ball to Killian, give the ball to Beef Stew. So those are the things I love about Saddiq Bey is that he adapts to the way he plays throughout the games.
And I think there's still another side to his game that, defensively he can hit another level. I mean, the physicality's there. His structure, his body type, he's strong. I think, if we talk about offensively and his shooting ability, I think there's still another level he could take, his game defensively. And if he does that, I mean, you're talking about a two-way player who can get you close to, hopefully 20 points, close to 20 points per game. Yep. There ain't too many of those in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, Andrew Wiggins was a starter this year on the All-Star team for doing that. You know what I mean? So yeah, he could certainly be an all-star.
Yep. And one thing that I really liked about him this year was it seemed like he showed a little bit different ferocity to rebounding, which the Pistons sorely need from even other players. Even if they bring in a big who can rebound, I don't want to see this team dependent on just, he's going to get the rebound. I want to see people attacking if they're supposed to be attacking. That's something I like seeing from him. It's also something I like seeing from one of the guys we're going to talk about today as well. But with Saddiq Bey, yeah, I echo all the sentiments that you guys are talking about. And the number one thing to think about with Saddiq Bey right now that I don't think has been talked about, but Rod has talked about it in his articles, is his pedigree. Yeah. It's not just his college, but also his family and just the basketball and not just the basketball minds around him, but also the work ethic around him. And it just pushes him. It's in his DNA. He wants to be great. And the cool thing about intelligent players is they know how to adapt in their situation. Saddiq Bey, maybe if he's on another team, maybe his arc is a little bit different. Maybe he does work and develop a little bit different to try and meet the demands like we talk about what some of these players might be asked to do. Mm-hmm. But in this situation, he's an intelligent enough player, and we all know this. When you're with a team, you're like, you know what? I can fit this role right here. And this team can be much better for it versus if I was out here trying to chase it just to have mine. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Woodward Pistons. I love the fact that we roll with a team. Yeah. I love it.
He's carving out his own role, essentially.
Right. Yeah. And it's with the coaches and the front office all, kind of helping him to detail this thing to see where he best fits. They've pushed him to their limits. We talked about it this year. These guys were working on who can I be as a player. It wasn't just go out there and stand in the corner. It was stretch yourself out a little bit, man. See who you can be. Can you play the pick and roll? Can you play the intermediary game? Can you dribble drive? Can you play in the post? These are things that we saw from Saddiq Bey more than can you hunt for your threes.
100%.
Yep.
And here's something else too, that they challenged him to be a better ball handler this year, and he comes out and does it. Mm-hmm. They challenged him he had the challenge earlier in the year where he had a horrific start to the year. He couldn't make a three from anywhere, and he turned that around. And he said that was one of the catalysts for him kind of realizing that he can make it in the league, is that when he has that adversity, he can figure out a way to get out of it. And nobody told him what to do. He kind of figured it out himself. So that's how you become a better pro, is not things come easily to you. You go out there and you start scoring 40s and 50s, and you just start to improve on that. You have some downtime and you work your way out of that. And I think that's what the greats have done is and I'm going to say Kobe in the sense that Kobe had his downtime when he started his career, but he really picked up after that. Kobe's a completely different player. There is no comparison there. Don't send me emails or anything like that. But just making a point that a lot of great players go through that down before they really hit that arc where they really start to move up and really start to achieve that next level of stuff.
I mean, people went through the same thing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The ways that some people talked about them a few years ago versus how people are talking about them right now is a little bit different. People were talking about, should they be broken up? Are they really, star one, star two? These are the types of things that people were talking about. With Saddiq Bey, you could smell the pedigree on him, man. You could see it. The same thing that you see, that same dog that you saw in Jaylen Brown and Tatum's eyes, whether or not they could work together. I never questioned if those guys were going to be good players. And with Saddiq Bey, I just don't. That's why I just wanted to pose the question, because I was going to ask this. Does Saddiq Bey have that all-NBA first team potential? But I said, you know what? Let's just make it star and allow people to kind of define where they believe he can wind up. Because I do believe he can get there. I don't know how consistently, because this NBA is it's different. it's different with the way people in the media, in whoever votes, how people see this, and the fans 100%. And such. So they don't get a chance to always see the Pistons, but hopefully they're going to change that. And we're hoping as well as we move into our prospect breakdown, we're hoping that one of these, whoever we pick, and with Troy Weaver, whichever the 5 or 6 or 7 people he picks on draft night, because you know how he goes. I'm hoping that whoever's there at 5 winds up helping us get to more national TV games. That means the Pistons are must-see TV and they're playing well. Today, I wanted to look at Shaedon Sharpe and Bennedict Mathurin. And I know we've had a little bit of conversation about Shaedon Sharpe on the show, and Rod's talked about him as well. We're going to get into that, but I want to start with Bennedict Mathurin to respect the time that we have with Rod as well. With Bennedict Mathurin, Arizona, 6'6" wing, Pac-12 Player of the Year. I want to start with Rod. I want to get your thoughts just real quick on Bennedict Mathurin as it relates to, his fit on this team. I feel like if there's a player who winds up in a situation of just stand in the corner and shoot, I feel like Bennedict Mathurin is that player. So whether the game is working for him or not, in terms of other things he can do, I kind of like who he is as a player in that mold if he wound up falling to the Pistons. So I want to start with you, Rod.
Well, I like his game. I like the three-point shot, and the athleticism is there. It's not quite other guys that we talked about in being at that level, but I do like that he just creates a shot. He will find a shot for you. The hesitation I have is I don't think you take him at 5. And we've talked about scenarios where the Pistons get the 7 pick or trade down or get something or trade Jeremy Grant to get another pick. He might be the 2nd pick that they look at. But I like, and I've been convinced looking at some tape and stuff that, yeah, he's a guy who could fit and give them what they need at that 2 spot. And if you are going to throw a guy in the corner and you want somebody to hit that corner 3, he can do it just as well as anybody else we're talking about in this mix for that draft pick.
Yeah, I was looking at the film, man. It was making me pretty excited. Looked at the games as well. The tournament games got me real excited, and we'll get to that because it showed the remarked improvement from the start of the season to where he wound up. And Jeff, man,
I kind of echo everything Rod just said. Honestly, it's the shooting. When you watch him on tape, it's the shooting, it's the athleticism, it's honestly the passion too. Like he has a high motor. It feels like every time he's dunking, he's screaming in someone else's face, which I love as a player. Like the show bench. You care, man, like that matters. So with Bennedict Mathurin, I agree with Rod saying that at 5, I've had a hard time processing that, especially if Jay Knivey or Keegan Murray. There's a lot of options there, but certainly as a fit, I would argue Bennedict Mathurin is the best fit out of all of these guys just because of what he can do shooting the basketball. Now you have a 6'6" wing you could throw at, if you want to throw at a guard, you can kind of hide Cade Cunningham. You don't have to. Cade doesn't always have to take on the best offensive guard. You can have Bennedict Mathurin and throw him at him. And not only that, he could play off ball. He's getting better on ball this year. If you watch him in a sophomore year at Arizona, he's getting better as a playmaker. So there's a lot of things you like about Bennedict Mathurin. There's just that slate, Jaden Ivey and Shaedon Sharpe. I have a little more interest in those guys at 5. But as a player, though, I can't argue with you in terms of fit. I mean, the guy, his 3-point shot, he shot 40% his freshman year. Shot a little under 40, but again, more of his shots were off the dribble. He just had he expanded his arsenal in terms of what he can do handling the ball. So love the fit. Wouldn't have a problem if they took him at 5. I think, out of all of these players, I wouldn't call him a safe pick, but I guess looking at fit and looking at what you're getting, I would feel way more comfortable, getting Bennedict Mathurin rather than banking on a Shaedon Sharpe. But again, we'll see what happens. But certainly an exciting player, no doubt about it.
Definitely. Jonah.
I like the pick a lot. I like it for the shooting wise. I think it would be good for Cade, especially on off nights for him and Saddiq. You need to throw out to a guy to hit a quarter and 3. Defensively, awesome guy. And I think that it's a fit the Pistons need. We need a guy who we can say, okay, Saddiq's having a all night. Cade's having off night. Let's just let him have his thing. And you saw that with the Celtics a night ago. You saw that with Jason Tatum just giving 13 assists to Horford, to White, to guys like that. So we need a guy like that, a third guy saying, hey, take over this game for us. We need this help, especially with the Pistons. If we're going for that play-in, fighting for that play-in spot, he could be that difference maker to take it to the next step going forward.
Yeah, and I love his mentality too, man. Like if you listen, just him getting interviewed, like just the way he He talks like that confidence. He oozes confidence. And I think that's a big time. We talk about Saddiq and his work ethic. This is another player, I think, despite, I love Jay Knivey, I love Shaedon Sharpe. You're getting a player who's going to work hard and be about doing the dirty work and getting up in people. So he's a great prospect.
You know what? We talk about passion, and we saw a guy like Cade on draft night with the buffs and everything. We can maybe have a guy like that passion, who would embrace the city like Cade has. And we have another guy like that who would come in and say, hey, I'm going to embrace you, the city. I'm going to fight for this team every day, in which we need a guy like that too. And I love guys like that with the Pistons, and we always have guys like that. So.
I loved how he did do that with Arizona. I saw a lot of him really flexing his Arizona jersey, really pointing to it. Even in interviews, he gave great interviews, and he has a lot of confidence on the court, a lot of confidence in those interviews. But when I started to see that confidence kind of waver or see him kind of break a little, is when his teammates would come up and say things like, he's the best player. And he would stop like he didn't know what to say. As if you could tell this is a guy who really puts team first. And he said, oh, it's just a sports team. It's a sports team. It's not about me. It's not about me. But you see this guy, I saw some inefficient moments throughout games. But when it got to winning time or clutch time or big moment
that
time,
motor,
he just seemed to kick it up a notch. And it is exciting because, we know that Troy may wind up with another pick, and that's why we have to talk about these players that may not be there. We might not pick at 5, but we know, hey, they might be in play at 7, 10, or even further down the draft.
Right.
But Mathurin was one, and I'm like, man, oh, man, oh, man, he's very intriguing in terms of the fit. Just the things that we want someone to do. The athleticism, I saw him catch, some lobs. He's not as athletic as Jay Knivey or as explosive, but he's throwing it down, man. Yeah. He's getting up and he's really throwing it down. I want to touch on Jay Knivey.
I think Pistons fans would be excited if you left the draft with Keegan Murray and Bennedict Matherin at 5 and 7.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, if you end up with that, the problem there is. You can't take Matherin at 5. You unless you can't draft for need at this point. You have to say he's a 7, and so do you do that? But even if you're doing that, we've talked about if Jeremy Grant is on the move, and you need another ball handler to help take some of the pressure off of Cade. Then if you're losing Jeremy as that ball handler and as the guy who brings it up court at times. Are you adding another ball handler, or are you making that starting lineup maybe a little bit less effective for Cade, where Cade has to do more ball handling? So in those, when you start talking about packaging and what that starting lineup looks like, that's something that's been stated and that we've seen, is that there needs to be another ball handler for some of those times, just so Cade isn't 100% breaking a press or handling the ball every time down the court. So that's just something to think about in all of this.
Yep. What I saw with him is, how do we feel about his playmaking and decision making in pressure situations?
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but James Edwards, and he asked Bennedict Matherin about his role this year, being more of a ball handler, and he was like, well, I'm only doing what I was asked to do. So, like, for example, his freshman and sophomore year, he was asked to do a lot more on ball, making plays for others. Freshman year, he was really just a spot-up shooter. That's why his three-point percentage was so high. But his sophomore year, getting asked to do more, in the pick and roll, bringing the ball up the floor, because he was their best player, essentially. So, a lot more responsibility on his shoulders. That's what I look at, his development and taking on that role. Doesn't mean he can't get even better once he comes in the NBA, but certainly for a guy who's been doing it for 1 year, there's some things you're definitely going to have to work on. I mean, for sure. Right. He's only done it for,
Right. And I know with a lot of these players, as their offensive responsibility has increased, we see them kind of fumble it a little bit. Their efficiency drops, their turnovers raised. That is to be expected. We also saw that with Cade Cunningham, and that's where it gets a little hard to – not hard. That's where I believe with these players and how we break them down, we look at what will they be asked to do at the next level. And that's what I'm going to ask you all. With Ben Matherin at the next level, with the skills that you see he brings to the table, beyond just shooting, what do you see the Pistons asking him to do next to Cade right now? Do you believe he is athletic enough? Do you believe he is defensive-minded enough off ball? Because that was one area of question. His off-ball defense, it raises some serious questions. That is something you have to think about as it relates to zone defense. His perimeter off-ball defense was okay, but when he was the defender in the back, like on the block,
would sag a little bit.
He would sag and just get lost.
Yeah, I see that.
What is he going to be asked to do as a Piston?
You can go first.
Me?
Yeah, take it.
I think he's going to be asked to just keep working, keep improving on his game. And, with these players, these young prospects, every day is a new challenge for them. And I think for him, it's going to be more of asking him to be that spot-up shooter for Cade and Saddiq, I think. And I think that's the reason why you bring him in is to shoot. And a guy like, for example, I think of a guy like Klay Thompson. Klay's not asked always to handle the ball well, but he's asked just to keep shooting, keep fighting for his team. And that's what I see better Matherin.
So basically play to his strengths rather than what we saw with a Stanley Johnson, who was more or less thrown to the fire.
Yes.
And that's something key because Stanley Johnson came in with tools. He came in with some serious tools, but the development around him, I believe, was lacking. It wasn't barren, but I believe it was lacking. The direction, I would say. With a Stanley Johnson, they just kind of threw him to the fire. But with Dwayne Casey, we hear him say, quote unquote, we're not just here to throw rookies to the fire. We're going to give them some time to, like you say, develop and play through it.
Yes, and that's what I like about Dwayne Casey is that he's going to build on his strengths and also his weaknesses. That's what Dwayne does with his players and his young prospects. Every day is a new challenge for them. Every day they're working in the gym every day. So Dwayne's going to work on those things throughout the season for him, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's a young team, and that's what it is.
What do you think, Rod?
No, I think he's going to be in a better position because he's not going to be the number one option. He's just going to focus on the shooting. The defense, he'll be in a team concept, so he'll be able to figure some of that out. He's at a tougher position in the league where if you can't make mistakes, you make a mistake, you're getting dunked on. Or somebody on your team is getting dunked on. And you don't have a shot eraser behind you, and that's part of the issue with some of these wings is if you don't play good perimeter defense, then everything breaks down. And we've seen that when the guards don't play well, it gives up a lot on the inside, and you get Stewart in foul trouble. You get Grant in foul trouble trying to make up for some of these, or you just see easy baskets that get you in a hole a little bit early. So I think that's where he might have his biggest struggles. But in a general sense, being not the first or not the second option in the offense is going to help him as he grows into that.
And that's a great point, actually, what Rod just said. We can't just let that one slide by about having a rim protector, someone that you could rely on, because he had it at Arizona. So, and that's a guy who's going to go, late first, early second round. So that's probably another thing coming into the Pistons for what he's going to be asked to do. You're going to obviously play on his strengths to what Andrew said is shooting, and what he's been doing as a playmaker. But to Rod's point, you have Cade Cunningham. So the playmaking and all these things he was asked to do at Arizona being the number one option, that goes out the window. Now, he's going to have to, play a significant role, but I think everything's going to get easier once, any of these prospects, you can go through a number of them, playing with a guy like Cade because he's so unselfish. Attention's going to be on Cade, which is going to get you more open shots, and the better Saddiq and all these players get, just makes his game a whole lot easier to really play.
And we see right now Andrew Wiggins right now. I mean, look at the guy came in the Timberwolves. Everyone thought, he's going to be the next big superstar. Comes to the Warriors team of a guy like Steph, a guy like Klay, a guy like Draymond, who led him, who's taught him. And that's what Cade's going to do. That's what Saddiq's going to do. That's what Marvin Bagley's going to do. They're all going to, these guys are going to help him out and support him throughout the whole season. That's what I see out of him also.
Jonah is bringing the heat today, guys. He is bringing the heat. And these are sentiments that we've echoed before, too, that this development staff, they're about building and restoring the right way. They said this is not a race of how fast we can get it done, but how right it's going to get done. And that's the comforting thing, because you're right. The Warriors took a player who was probably thrown to the fire too quickly in the Wiggins and just said, hey, we're going to treat you just like we treat all of our other players.
Right.
Let's see what fits you best and put you in the best positions to succeed. And we keep seeing whether it's a low draft pick, whether it's a under-heralded, free agent signing or trade.
I mean, just
they are revitalizing players and giving them what they need to be successful in the league.
It's confidence, and just drop the name. It's Frank Jackson. All right, we know where you're hitting at.
Yeah,
Frank Jackson. Just say it. All right. Frank Jackson came to the Pistons, and it was a completely new player, and that instilling confidence like that, man, gives you so much. I mean, pun intended, but confidence going into the draft, because who's going to come here at 5 is walking in a situation where they're not going to be asked. You're playing on a team full of people your age. Like they're 20 to 22, 23 years old. It's not like, you brought up Andrew Wiggins. I mean, at least Andrew going into a team full of veterans, it's going to be a little different and easier for these guys to adjust because your co-star and your other co-star are the same age as you. So it's always a benefit, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Rod, any words? I know you got to.
No, I think I'll give you my last Shaedon Sharpe thing. The last thing we have of Shaedon Sharpe coverage is him playing in high school. I'm done. We can't. Kobe in high school, cool. That's one thing. Is Shaedon Sharpe Kobe? No. So we can't go by, and I'm not risking a number 5 pick on a dude that I haven't seen play since high school. And whether he was going to play in Kentucky, and this private workout with the Pistons would have to be something of legend for him to be the pick at number 5 for me.
It's like Donovan Mitchell didn't miss a shot. It would have to beat that. It would have to be something on that level. And this is a draft pick that Troy cannot mess up. For the arc of the rebuild and what they have to do, they cannot take a risk. They cannot mess up this pick. That's why it was so important for them to be in the top 3, that they would have a can't miss prospect. Now in dropping down to 5, they have a pick that can give them something. And I mean, at worst, you're talking Matherin, even if they don't get Ivy, or even if they end up taking Murray. And if they get Murray, maybe they trade Grant and they end up getting Matherin at 7. And I'd feel really good if that was the draft takeaway, that you got Matherin and Murray, or something like that. But again, I'm not a Shaedon Sharpe guy, and I haven't seen any video. You want to know why? Because there is no video. We got to go back to high school and AAU to see what he did against kids who are in Chem Lab right now. No, I'm not. You hurt Jeff's heart. You hurt Jeff's heart.
I was going to say, Rod, is this where I come out and tell you I like Shaedon Sharpe? But hey, listen, okay. And Rod, don't be disappointed.
Based on what? Based on what?
What you just said.
Hey, I think the Cade Crusader might be back next episode. We got to grill Jeff on this, man.
That's why we need Rod, man. Hey, listen, the more he talks, the less I like him, which kind of sucks, honestly, because that was not the plan.
And he could be fantastic, but this feels, it's not to the level of Darko, but it feels something like Darko, that at least they will have seen him work out. And at least we know he has played in an American system. But there's so much mystery shrouded in this that I just don't feel good about taking a guy that has not played at a college level, that has not, and he was the number 1 prospect in that class, all well and good. But if you haven't played against college competition, what are you going to do? And what are you going to show me in a workout that convinces me that I don't need to take Jaden Ivey? I shouldn't take Matherin. I shouldn't take Murray. You've got to wow me and you've got to have a pristine record of just your personality and your fit, and Cade's got to vouch for you. You got to have a lot of stuff going for you for me to say that I don't want Ivy, I don't want any of these other guys, and I would take you over that. That's me, and I'm very conservative in the draft stuff that I do.
I got to propose something to you, Rod. What if they acquire that 7th pick,
dude,
and then they take Shaedon Sharpe?
The same question.
Does it sweeten the deal a little bit for you?
Is Matherin gone?
Oh, okay. So, okay, I get you.
That's why we paired them today.
I get you. Yeah, no. So it's basically so the situation of Murray and Matherin is probably the best bet, especially if they have 2 first rounds.
If you ask so again, are you doing Murray and Matherin or Murray and Sharpe?
Okay, yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
I might be leaning Matherin a little bit.
Let us know.
See, and there you go. See, if you get that 7th pick, now you're drafting for need with that 2nd pick, and you can take a swing on Matherin. And we've all said sort of he fits what they need. And if you get 5 and 7, it means you're without Grant. I don't know enough about Sharpe, and he could be he could turn out to be an all-star. But given the position that the Pistons are in right now, you can't take that risk and say, I'm going to use this pick unless you know you have 5 and 7. And I wouldn't be mad if they went and got 7 and did that. But if you tell me Matherin's there and they're choosing between Matherin and Sharpe,
that's because I did hear people talk about, some potential worries about Sharpe's motor. And when I look at that game against TCU in the tournament that Matherin had, man, there was no questions about that motor, man. That overtime, we're sitting here talking about his fit as a 3-point shooter when his 2 biggest plays were offensive rebounds, man. I was looking at it, I was like, yo, this guy, I forgot, like, this guy he's a hooper. You know, I like guys like that. He's a hooper. I can't get a gauge on Shaedon Sharpe. I just can't. It reminds me almost of like Andre Drummond's high school film. You know, he was dribbling and doing all that dunking, and I don't know. I don't know what to gauge it. But when I saw, you know, at the end of that game to win the game in a tournament off of a missed free throw, he's going up against the trees to get the rebound and put it back. And won. Off of a missed 3 going up to get the rebound, putting it back. That's how they won a game, man. 2 offensive rebounds from a 3-point shooter.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Rod kind of took me to school today, but
they're just points to think about. Is all I'm saying.
He's right.
We gotta talk about
vacuum. In a vacuum, sure, Shaedon Sharpe looks like the candy that you want in the store, but. It's a lot of risk is what I'm saying. And if you're another team, if you've got the 7 or 8 pick or something and he's there, knock yourself out because there's very little risk in doing it at that point. But the Pistons are a team that needs this pick to hit. And even if they get another pick, that pick is with the intent of getting another guy who could fill a need. That's all I got. I'm out.
Dropping dimes.
Hey,
thank you, Rod.
Peace out to the legend.
The legend, man.
Thank you, bro.
Taking us to class.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Next
see you,
time.
Rod. And that's one thing. He was speaking facts. I'm kind of speechless. But he said
we still got to talk about Sharpe though.
One thing that he said that stuck with me, and he's so right. And I've thought about this, but you don't think about it until somebody else actually says it. Troy Weaver can't mess up this pick. Like he can't.
He can't.
And even if I love Shaedon Sharpe and I see him as, you know, the ceiling of being that elite scorer, that elite bucket getter next to Cade who can create his own shot, and that's how I look at, you know, the best fit for a backcourt with Cade. The risks that come with it, Rod's absolutely right. Like if you have 2 guys on the board that you've seen for 2 years, and Ben Matherin and Keegan Murray, 2 sophomores who were excellent, I don't see how you do it. Or and this is, by the way, this is if Jaden Ivey's off the board, by the way, because assuming if he's there, you're taking Jaden Ivey at 5.
That's an easy pick.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna update that question before we moved on to Sharpe. Is Jaden Ivey the guy that we want at 5?
Hey, I talked to Pistons Twitter last 2 weeks. I've been doing the weekly Pistons draft check-in. You can check out my Twitter at JeffIFReady. I do a poll of all the players that are in the conversation. In back-to-back weeks, Jaden Ivey has had 60% of the votes. Back-to-back
everything we're doing on Woodward Pistons and such.
Yeah,
it seems like people are settling into Jaden Ivey being a comfortable pick. People are intrigued by Murray, but they don't want any parts of Murray, which is interesting. He seems like the most safe, sound pick. But I get it. People are saying we already have that in Cade Cunningham, you know, who's a dynamic player, much more dynamic player, who feels all of these intangibles that we're talking about with Murray. So go for a guy who can be more athletic or a better 3-point shooter or whatnot. And I get it. And that's where with Shaedon Sharpe, as we're kind of moving into, you know, the conversation on him, I don't even know where to really begin because like Rod said, there's no footage. Yep. But since he's in this draft and there's a potential that if someone doesn't take him, whoever doesn't take him could be making a big mistake, we got to talk about it because we do know that the measurables are all world potential.
Yeah,
we do know that. We do know that from some of the competitions he's had in the different leagues against some of his peers, he's put up some numbers.
Yes, and he's also he's a late bloomer too, and that's something that you have to add in as well. Like he was the #1 player senior year, but what was he sophomore year? No, he wasn't ranked. Junior year, he moved up slightly, got better, and then his senior year, boom, he's on the map. He's the #1 player. He's playing at one of the best teams in high school, and then boom, he goes to Kentucky. Like everything kind of happens so quickly. So to Rod's point, like it's not like this guy's been on the map for 5 years of this guy's he's going to be it. He kind of popped off his senior year, so I love it. I think there's plenty of room for him to grow, but the only argument I can't really give back on is the motor, because I've watched a ton of Shaedon Sharpe film, and I do see he just doesn't look. I don't want to say engaged because that's like it's kind of disrespectful to say a guy's not engaged if he's that good.
He's just the best player out there, so it's hard to figure it out.
Right?
Is it a motor or is he just beating everybody, making it look easy?
True.
It's one of those things. It's like a James Wiseman situation. You don't know what you're gonna get out of him, and the Warriors took that risk. Like We'll see what happens next season with him. But again, it's one of those things that it's a risk. It's Troy Weaver. We say it all the time. He's not afraid to take a risk. He isn't. He did it with Saddiq Bey. Did it with Beef Stew. He moved up in the draft. You know, he may take the risk.
Killian, man.
Killian, hey, same
That's
thing.
a risk.
And he's not afraid to take a risk. And that's one of the things we know about Troy Weaver is that he will not be afraid to take that risk.
Do you think, and I want to ask, because I feel like you'd be a good guy to ask this question, but like with he took Killian over Tyrese Halliburton because of the risk. Do you think now going into this draft, it's almost like, maybe we don't have to take a risk like that. We'll just go with the safe pick, but then it could be a Tyrese Halliburton who's a great player.
Man, you know, that's one of the most interesting picks to me. And honestly, it's a tough question because as we see the flashes of Killian Hayes, we see exactly why they picked him.
Right.
Yep. But without the consistency there, you can't claim that. You can't claim it. Until Killian puts it all together consistently, you can't say it. I believe consistent Killian is a better player, and I'm probably going to get roasted. I don't care. I believe he's a better player than Tyrese Halliburton. He just brings a lot more to the game. He can fit in a little bit better. Next to Cade and next to some of the other dynamic players we're talking about getting. He's really a low ego guy. He just wants to play with his teammates.
Exactly.
He's not, too high, not too low. And I don't know if that helps him or hurts him. But if he can pull it together consistently, and this is the reason why I want to be able to give Troy his time. The pandemics, the injuries, the lack of practices, these things have kept Killian from being able to get consistency. Yep. And as he has, even his teammates being injured, who is he throwing it to? Who is he playing with?
Right.
Tyrese Halliburton had tremendously better. Hey, it's the boss there, Mr. Stick from Woodward Sports. We got to make sure we take a break when he waves. But he played with better players.
He did.
He just did. We saw the difference in in Cade Cunningham playing in the beginning of the season when, Jeremy Grant was injured, Kelly Olynyk was injured versus when those guys came back. Then all of a sudden they're looking like a much better team.
And the one thing about Killian, he's okay to adapt. We saw that this season. He came off the bench. He was great off the bench. Yeah, I kept loving him more and more and more. And he's that energizer bunny off the bench they need. And you need a guy like that. You need a guy like a Jamal Crawford. You need a guy. And that's one of those things we have with Killian is that he is developing. He is working. And that's one thing about Troy's guys is that they're not afraid to work on the skill they need to work on. And that's what the thing Troy picks on is that they have these flaws and they know, okay, I gotta make this work for me. I gotta work on my game, all this stuff.
Work ethic, man.
That's true because we've seen other players drafted here in the past, not Troy guys. And what happens to their work ethic? What happened to Sekou? What happened to Stanley? What happened to Drummond? We have to go back to Drummond. I know there's some other picks in there, some second rounders and such who they worked hard. Bruce Brown. Luke Kennard, I would never hate on him.
Wasn't his fault.
No, it's not his fault.
It wasn't his fault. He was picked.
Yeah, but we see with Troy's guys that these players are working. We can see the improvement. We can see that Killian wants to be a really good player.
And I feel like there's a little more accountability. Like, you feel that too? Like, I feel like if you're not getting better, there's like a Killian Hayes, for example. Not that this is a bad thing, but they took him to the bench. Like Andre Drummond and who you just brought up in the past. Like, those guys didn't get the same accountability. Like, it's a different culture. Maybe that's because you have a franchise player in Cade Cunningham that, will hold you accountable. But it's exciting. It really is.
Oh, my goodness. The way this organization is being run now, y'all, I'm telling y'all.
It's revamped, man.
That's a great point because it's awesome that in the past we had to make a decision to even sign a Jeremy Grant because we said we needed a young veteran on the court who could still kind of do work, whose voice would hold weight because we know he could do it. Guys, Cade Cunningham can do that for a lot less money right now. Seriously. That's the reason. Like, when they kept talking about, no, we had to take Cade. He was going to be the pick. If we had first, he's going to be the pick. We don't care if there were guys who are more athletic, guys with a better shot, guys with a better handle. These guys might have individually better, skill sets, but as a complete player, Cade Cunningham had it all. And then you can go to his mindset, his intellect, his basketball IQ. We'll let this be the Cade zone. We got to represent with the Cade Crusader shirt on today. Shout out Woodward Sports, Woodward Pistons. But with Cade Cunningham and the 5th pick in tow, if they got that 7th pick and Shaedon Sharpe is there, and it's between Sharpe and Mathurin, you almost want to just push the button on Matherin. And I feel like that, man. What I saw from him in the tournament and late in the season, it feels like, you can't miss that guy at 7. But the mystery of Shaedon Sharpe, the fact that there are some people out there saying he's supposed to be one of these next stars. At 7, I know what Rod is saying, but do you have to? Do you have to? Comment, let us know. Do you have to? This is at 7. Yeah. You have to take a swing at a player who could be a superstar.
Or do you settle? I hate saying settling because that sounds like they're not very good players.
No. Skip that, bro. Let's call it what it is. No one's picking Shaedon Sharpe because they think he's going to fit into the system or what they want. So in this scenario, if you're picking Shaedon Sharpe versus somebody else, if you're picking Ben Matherin, it is a settling in this. We're not talking about 5, which we wouldn't pick these guys. We're talking about if you have the luxury of a second pick.
Yeah.
The luxury of
At
getting
7.
from underneath Jeremy Grant's contract at 7. You can call it that, man. Are we going to settle and pick somebody else, or is Shaedon Sharpe that superstar knockout
take a swing?
Pick?
Yes, take a swing. And that's kind of how I've said this multiple times. Like, I want to swing for the fences. I think it just becomes easier if you do have 2 first-round picks. You have early first-round picks. Mm-hmm. I think it becomes, and you're seeing the reports of the Atlanta Hawks being more interested in Jeremy. And that's kind of where I wanted to ask you as well. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks, what do they hold? The 16th pick, I believe. I swear I'm getting this wrong, but it's somewhere. It's like 13 to 16 in that area.
I'm going to look it up right now.
If you could for me real quick. Does that just change some stuff now? Because you're dropping from 7 to 13, 14, 15. I don't know exactly where it is. Andrew will do it for me. Where is it at?
I'm looking right now.
And we're going to bring it
up.
At
16.
So 16. So you're dropping essentially 9 picks to go to 16. In that case, that's a tough one. At that point, I would just look at the centers because there's plenty of good centers, I'm going to be honest, around that area. But it takes out that Ben Matherin, Shaedon Sharpe conversation at that point.
Right.
If they do take Keegan Murray or Jaden Knivey, whoever it is.
Right. And honestly, trading Jeremy Grant at that pick, you would have to know that your beef stew or your Saddiq Bey is there.
Yeah.
You have to know that because Jeremy Grant is a player who I believe a lot of people, they kind of underrate. They underrate his impact defensively. They underrate his impact, shot making. There's a lot of times where this team, even with Cade Cunningham, could not make a bucket. And the only offense was give it to Jeremy Grant and let him go. Once he got going, he got going.
This question for you guys. We know about Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Would you trade that 5th pick, Jeremy Grant and a couple other guys, for Donovan Mitchell and take the risk? I know you talked about this.
I won't. To answer it, I'll ask this question as a follow-up. Do you think anybody at 5 will be as good as Donovan Mitchell? That's the interesting one because I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know. Donovan's never averaged below 20 in his career. Like he's been a consistent 25 and 5.5 a game guy. Like this is a superstar. But the fact that you'd have to give up other players, like I'd have to know the details of that deal because if I'm giving up 5, Jeremy, which I was already going to trade Jeremy anyway, that means you're not getting a single rookie in the first round. And let's say you got to give up Killian or Saddiq.
Yeah,
and then maybe another how much? I feel like it's going to be a monster deal to get Donovan Mitchell for any team, and there's going to be a lot of suitors. So there's going to be a bidding war. Can the Pistons, stay afloat in that bidding war? I wouldn't like them to. I don't
want them to. They can do some cool things with their cap space, including take on players that Utah just wants to dump.
Except for Rudy Gobert.
But we can't trade a first-round pick this year.
Right.
No,
so
it would have to be if we had that 7th pick, and if we had that 7th pick, we wouldn't have Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. I don't know if we can even do a swap of the 5th and another pick or whatnot. Hey, if there's any capologists out there, anybody who understands this stuff who can let us know if they can do anything to trade that 5th pick. But I know with Jeremy Grant, he's definitely a viable asset, but it looks like he's only going to be able to be traded for potentially a draft pick and another player.
That's my thing too. I think we're not at the year yet. I think we got to go one more year to the draft, and maybe next year's a year. Okay, let's go after a superstar. It's our time to go after a superstar, and I think I feel like we just need one more year. I feel like we need one more full season of this crew, see what happens, and then move forward. And that's why I asked that question, is because are we there yet? And I think I want to see one more year.
Yeah, right. I get you. So in terms of the Donovan Mitchell thing, you're believing, even though, we know he's better than anyone we're probably going to get at number 5, with the closest comparison being Jaden Ivey, we're not really there yet. There may be someone better next year. There may be a better trade opportunity or whatnot. What you gonna say, Jeff?
And I will say he's better than any free agent available. So that's the easy way to say it. And I've been saying this too. Like free agency isn't always the answer. You can always do look at the New Orleans Pelicans. Like they went out and got TJ McCollum, and look what it did for their team without Zion. So they're building a nice core. So with the Pistons this season. Trading for Donovan Mitchell, and I said this, and people got offended. I said you're not going to make the playoffs next year. Sorry to break it to you, which is I still believe that. I don't think the Pistons are going to make the playoffs.
Big Spirits.
I think they could be in that play-in contention or be in the play-in. But when I said not make the playoffs, if you make the play-in, you win a game or two, and then you sneak in as the 8th seed. That's fine, but and that can certainly happen. But I meant like solidifying your spot in the playoffs. I just don't think we're a year from that. But again, if you trade for Donovan, that's a win now move. So
I saw somebody say that Donovan Mitchell will be the new Damian Lillard. High talented guy, a guy that you know is worth the money, but is he really that guy that you can build around to get you that championship?
Yeah,
is he that guy? Now, obviously, here
it's a good comparison.
He doesn't have to be that guy. That's Cade. So he would be fitting in more auxiliary than he would. If he was going to another situation to be called on to be what he is in Utah. Yeah. That's just such a weird
Cade will be the best player he's played with. Like, facts. Like, I mean, that's the best player he's played with in terms of like what he can be as a playmaker, as an incomplete player. So certainly for Donovan, it's intriguing.
And if he came here, Killian would be the best Frenchman he would have played with.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Yeah, definitely. Certainly a Frenchman he'll like more. He'll like him a lot more.
But with Shaedon Sharpe, man, obviously there's not a lot we can go on with even when looking at his film, all we can really talk about is the potential. And I don't know, man, if you get that 7th pick, I might be in the camp of just settling. It might just have to be Mathurin.
Yeah. And I'm on the side of I want to swing for home runs, man. I'm Javi Baez. I've said that. I swing at every damn pitch you throw at me. And I feel like
let's answer the question then.
What's up?
This question, and we'll start with you because I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Let's answer this question then. If Shaedon Sharpe's the pick, what is he bringing to the Pistons?
Scoring. Elite score. At least I think he'll be elite scoring because in high school, and I get it, it's high school film. It's this. And I've heard people say he's going to be J.R. Smith. Okay, well, let me get this straight. Number one, J.R. Smith was a great player in Denver, he in New York as well. Mm-hmm. But I don't like that comparison because the only comparison people have with the J.R. Smith thing is because they both came out of high school. They're completely different players. And I get the athleticism, and they both had that coming out. But with Shaedon Sharpe, his game is something I see. When I look at a backcourt with Cade Cunningham, I see Cade as the primary ball handler. I want my 2 guard to be just a bucket. Go get a bucket when we need one, especially Cade will be there, but it alleviates the pressure off Cade if you have a guy who can put the ball in the basket at a high rate. And if he gives me Jalen Green-esque numbers, that's why I like the comparison. I don't think it's tough to just say he'll be Jalen Green because Jalen Green at this time was playing against grown men in the G League. Yeah. So I can't make that comparison. Yeah. But in terms of his game, like Jalen averaged, 17-4-4 this year, whatever it was, 17-3-3. Yep. That's kind of what I see.
A lot better efficiently as the season went on, too.
Exactly. A lot better efficiently. And if you look at his high school film, I get it's high school film. But he was pulling up damn near 3-4 feet behind the arc. So it's not like we don't even know if he could shoot at the next level. He was pulling up from, the parking lot already. So he's going to be comfortable with the length of the three-point line. I'm sure he practiced all year with Kentucky. Who knows what he looked like in practice? Yeah. But again, I don't like the idea, and I get it completely. I'm not going to argue with Rod because I respect the hell out of him. But I don't understand how people say just because he didn't play that 1 year of college, that just discredits him. And I get it. Kyrie Irving, how many games did he play college his freshman year?
Here's a question, though.
He played like 5 games.
Here's a question.
And I get it. You saw him playing against college athletes, but is that the reason?
The Kyrie Irving one, that's a great point. But he was playing against NBA players.
And he was hooping.
He was playing against NBA players all summer and such. But there was a guy who actually did play that 1 year, who everybody thought if he could go to the league, he's going to be the next big thing. Right in our backyards here.
Oh, yeah.
Right in our backyards. He played that 1 year. And I was waiting. I was just going to save it. I was like, you know what? Because this was the one thing when I was going through prep that made me pause and go, we saw this type of guy play. We saw Imani Bates in high school pulling up from 3, 4, 5 feet, looking like, yo, this guy's
All right, you got a point. All right, see, this is what I hate about the Kool-Aid. Okay, listen, Brandon and Rod today have been cooking me in an oven, boy. They've been cooking me on a gas, man, gas or charcoal.
Don't forget the Cade Crusader, man.
All right, y'all right. I think I'm just stubborn and I'm excited. I think I honestly I look forward to what he can be so much that I'm blinded by the light. I think I'm blinded, but it's okay. So, I'm stick by him, but again, I get the concerns. So, I can't argue with anybody.
So if the Pistons don't, let's just say, draft Shaedon Sharpe, we are all going to that first game, and we're all going to watch him. And maybe Jeff can do something really funny. He can wear a Shaedon Sharpe jersey.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
If Shaedon ends up in Indiana, whoever it is, I'm just saying Indiana, but any team, and he's balling. I'll be hiding in the dark, but then I'll just pop out.
Now
I told y'all.
Listen, bro.
Even though everyone was like, "Well, Jeff, we didn't see him play. Why the hell would we take him at 5?"
With as much charcoal and gas grilling you have gotten from riding out today, bro. Listen, you got to. If he's hooping, because I'm serious. Like, for what people are saying he could be, well, yeah, you want to draft him, but can he actually be that? Have we seen it?
And I get that. As a GM, I don't know if I'd take that risk. Like, you know what I mean? If my job's on the line, I respect it.
Now, you've been fair about it. And at 7, none of us would be mad if they actually went and picked Shaedon Sharpe. So, obviously, we're sitting here parsing a little bit more closely because we wanted to talk about these two guys. At 7, if you see the pick, everyone, you're going to see, Pistons big board is going to include Mathurin, Sharpe, among others. A guy I want to talk about in the next pod is Johnny Davis.
Ooh, can't wait for that.
And that one too.
Player.
And Daniels.
Dyson.
Dyson.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, from Austin.
Yeah, we gotta talk about them. Awesome. I know that a couple people have hit us up about that.
Yeah,
we have to get into it. Hey, listen, let us know what you think about Shaedon Sharpe. Let us know what you think about Bennedict Mathurin. Tell us what you think about the potential. Are we settling if we pick somebody else other than Mathurin if we get that 7th pick? I mean, other than Sharpe, or is Sharpe that surefire superstar? Next level, you got to pick this guy. He's going to be fantastic next to Cade Cunningham. Hey, any other thoughts, man?
If I'm crazy, tell me in the comments, please.
Hey, definitely, because we're going to get into some NBA talk just real quick before we close out. But, Jonah, any last words?
No, I have one quick question for you. We see right now Stephen A. and CJ talked about shortening the season. I think we got to really get into that next week, but I want to hear your quick thoughts on that quickly about
we can let that take us into our rundown, our chase down, man, because we do this, man. We talk about just a few NBA topics just to keep the people up to date, but that's a good one, shortening the season. I know that they've talked about it in the past. I believe that it could create a situation where we see a little less injury, a little less load management throughout the season, and we see a little bit more of who our team actually is.
Yeah.
I don't like the for a young team like ours trying to get this type of consistency up, to potentially have a player who may need to rest, or because the injuries are too high, or the West Coast trip is zapping their energy. I kind of welcome it. It's 82 games of basketball.
It's a lot.
It is, especially with how they're talking about adding in the playing tournaments and all this type of stuff.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I kind of welcome the talk. I mean, what do you think, Jeff?
Part of me is like, I respect longevity, and I respect people that can last an entire season. I think, there's been so many things added, and Richard Jefferson hit on this, and I agree with everything he said. There's been so many things that help the players, add more days off during the All-Star break, add all this, take breaks, extend these breaks, whatever it is. I just think shortening the season at this point, you have to ask the players because it's affecting their money. So if they want to, if they want to make sure they're getting paid and they want to play the 82, then play the 82. But I don't know. There's something about it, man. I respect a guy like Saddiq Bey who can play 82 and tough it out. Yeah. Like, if you can't last 82, then you can't last 82. That's the difference. That's what separates great, longevity from the decent or the good. So I would like him to stick with 82 games.
It did hurt our probably our greatest Piston of all time, which was Isaiah Thomas.
Facts.
And I got to go back and look at what those seasons were like. Then I forget how many games that his seasons were. But, sometimes that rigor and that grind, it can be a pain on guys like a Saddiq Bey.
Yeah.
I know that if you're going to have 82 games, you draft a guy like Saddiq Bey.
100%.
But if I have a guy like Saddiq Bey, I definitely want to be able to have him for 10, 12, 13, 14 years. Being able to play consistently for all those years. It's amazing how you see this in football where guys can play a long time in such a physical sport. But in basketball, something happens when your core muscles or core ligament or something, and your whole entire game, your explosiveness, your shot, your confidence, your this, your that, it just completely changes. But I don't know. It's up to the players. I'm definitely not going to be counting their money. Look, if you guys want the money, keep your money. Play for it. Hoop for it. If you guys are finding ways of load management for it, do that. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the team. You guys are the product out there on the court. Yep. And hey, look, I like watching. I'm
gonna run on this morning show and talk about the Shaedon Sharpe stuff real quick. I'm gonna come right back. Definitely. But for all the people that disagree with me about Shaedon Sharpe, please let me know in the comments. Tell me I'm an idiot, because I'm about to go on the morning show and tell him why Adam's an idiot. No, I'm just joking. I think he actually said that he wouldn't mind Shaedon Sharpe or Jay Knivey. So I've got him a little bit pushed closer to it. But all right, well, this is a good episode, man. I'll be right
about to bring this one
next Wednesday. We'll be talking about a lot more. So don't forget about it, Johnny.
Definitely, we're about to bring this one to a close actually for the people. Hey, listen, and you guys will be tuning in Morning Woodward Show, Big D Energy, all of the shows, man, all of the shows. What do we have on the Woodward Sports? We have Big D Energy. We have Morning Woodward.
We got Woodward Bets.
Woodward Bets.
We got the Woodward Heavyweights.
Woodward Heavyweights.
We got the Lippins Podcast. Nick
Leach.
Hey,
yeah, dude.
He's been fire.
Shout out to Nick Leach. He's been on fire, man. Been on fire with that. Hey, definitely. If you guys like golf, if you like golf coverage or anything of the nature, definitely check out the podcast Lip and Putts by Nick Leach and Fletch. Man. It's a lot going on at Woodward Sports. But, Jonna, how did you feel? I want to just get your question, your quick take real quick on the NBA playoffs, man.
Oh.
What did you think? I know Golden State, that first game, I thought that coming into this series, it would be about a 6-game series to respect Boston. I believe they have opportunity to win this series. I was not as shocked as other people to see that Golden State lost that first game. It reminded me of the 2004 Pistons who lost
game one.
Game one, but then they came right back and punched Boston in the mouth. What's your thoughts, man?
I'm a huge Jason Tatum guy. A lot of people know about me. I'm a huge fan of his. Been a fan of his for years. I want Boston just because I love Tatum, but I still think the Warriors are going to win this series. I still think Jason Tatum's not done. He hasn't had his moment in these playoffs, in this series. He's going to have a 40-point game. The question when will we have that 40-point game? A lot of people are talking about this. The Celtics are not going to back down. They've been down 3-2 the past 2 times. They're not afraid to fight. They're young and they're hungry. But I still think the veteran of the Warriors, I just think they want it. And I think that Curry and Clay are like, we want this. And I think that they're going to take this in 6 or 7. More, I see 6. I see Boston taking at least 1 at home. I see the Warriors at least taking 1 on the road. Win a game at home, and then either lose in Boston or win a game 7.
Right.
And Steph, to me, has the most pressure on him because
this is the year, man.
Because if you see, Curry is the best shooter in the game who's ever seen. He's changed the game forever. The question is, in the playoffs and the big moments, can he finish? Can he finish in the clutch time moments?
As the unquestioned, you've gone out there and you took your finals MVP. And that's what I said in some of the previous episodes is that this is a year for Curry. Not to disrespect Boston. I believe that Boston has all that they need offensively and defensively to win this series.
1,000%.
But Steph Curry, he has to be that difference maker. And if they win this, it's going to be because he is the finals MVP.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And that's the bottom line. That's the other show, too. The bottom line. With Woodward Sports. Definitely make sure you're checking out all of the other shows that are going on here. Hey, including the Fish Stick Podcast, man.
Fish Stick, that was fire.
I saw that one.
Did you see that one?
I saw that. I loved it. But, I like what Boston brings to the table, but what did you see in that game? It's funny. I was at my sister's wedding, bro. we were watching it at the reception. I don't know if we were bad or not because we were part of the whole bridal party. And
yeah.
We had it up on an iPad, multiple phones, and everything going. And first half of the game, everybody was like, "Yo, this is really going to be a dogfight of a series." And in the second half of that game, everyone was like, "Oh, this looks like exactly what we thought it would be."
Yep, and that's the thing too is I think Boston was just young. I mean, they had to go on the road a lot. They've been tired.
They're running out of steam.
And I think that they're running maybe out of stamina. I mean, I think that these few days, I love how they're resting these players. I think that's going to help them a lot out.
First game in Boston.
And I think that game tonight, is going to be nuts. It's going to be ruthless. And Boston's one of those places where it's a tough environment to play in. And I think that the Warriors, it's one of those things that's not like Cleveland. Toronto's like that, but this is Boston. This is different for them. And I think that Curry's I think he's ready for this. And I think he knows that there's a lot on the line for him tonight. And I think tonight I can see him and Tatum just back and forth moments. Oh, wait, he's back.
Yo. All right. Update.
Give us a quick update.
They asked me asked me who I thought had, out of all the players we could take at 5, who fits the dog mentality. Terry wanted to know. So I said Jay Knivey and Ben Matherin. Those are my 2 guys. So,
hey.
if you're looking for a dog.
Hey, look, Rod approves. He didn't say Shaedon Sharpe.
No, I didn't. No, I don't want to, that's like blinded by the light. If you're like, this guy's a dog, this guy. No, I'll be honest, man. I don't see a dog, but I see a lot of upside. And he read the quote that the one GM said. I don't know if it was the West or East. Did you see that? We're talking about Shaedon Sharpe. Like, why the F would I take a guy at 5 when he hasn't played in a year and a half? I'm like, sounds like someone's butthurt.
I would take Jabari Smith if he was at 5,
Tear starts coming down. Right, guys?
I was like, oh, my God.
Man, dude. That's another thing, Pistons fans haven't really talked about is the possibility of trading up. And that's something that, we don't talk about it because we don't know if it's likely. But if it happens, I think that throws everything we've done out the window because all these prospects at this point wouldn't matter. But who knows? You're getting a damn good player either way.
Definitely.
You got to be excited.
And that's why you pick a Troy Weaver. Yes, of course, there's going to be surefire pick if you land in that top 3. But the Pistons have continued to be bitten by not being able to pick correctly in that 7 to 10 range.
Yeah.
We continue to, we keep dropping. We said it before. That's why you sign a Troy Weaver. That's why you make that higher. Because you know that his staff, his team, the coaches, the development, the videographers, all these people, the film study guys, they're going to do their homework and they're going to make sure that whatever player we get is going to be a player that can contribute. Even with Killian Hayes. So even if they miss the mark, if it winds up being a player like a Killian Hayes type of an impact, and you can see that arc can be something. That's what you at least want. You want a player that you know what? I might be able to trade him for something. Shout out to Big Spence again.
Spill some orange juice. I love that, man.
I love it, man. I love it. But that's the comforting part, man. That's the comforting part is that we get to sit here and talk about this with a little bit more confidence in our front office than we've had in previous years. But I want to get you in on this NBA talk. We were talking about Golden State. We were talking about Boston. I've continued to say I believe that this is Steph Curry's final, not Golden State's. This is Steph Curry's finals to win or lose. If they win, it's going to be because he is the finals MVP. There's no question this year. I'm not saying he's playing like he is or not. I'm saying that's how this series is going to shake out if they win. But Boston has shown that there are no slouches. Their defense, their offensive prowess, their ability to also hit you in multiple ways is not just a two-man show of Tatum and Brown. No. They are hungry. I look like they might have run out of steam or that coming back 3-2 might have caught up to them a little bit in that last game. But, what are your thoughts before we get into the players to watch?
I think one thing, and I've talked about this on the bottom line that I've been noticing in these finals is if you look at both these coaches, Ime Udoka and Steve Kerr, they instill so much confidence in their players. And that's one thing that stands out to me the most because you see it on the Boston side. You just brought it up. It's not just Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They can beat you in like 5 different ways. They can get Derek White, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, even Grant Williams to an extent before the finals. He hasn't had a great game yet, but he'll have one soon. And then you have the Golden State side, Jordan Poole. Clay hasn't been himself, but I'm sure he will be. Andrew Wiggins, that's what defines a great coach to me. And I brought this up with Monty Williams. The Suns have always been kind of that mold for that. At least the last year or two. Everybody on their team can go get it, and that's that's I feel like the Pistons are getting to that point where you're just going to have so many options and guys are going to be so confident that your offense is hard to guard. You're moving the ball around. It's like Memphis too. Memphis does this really well with the Grizzlies. Is even they have Ja Morant, but then you have so many guys that can beat you. So that's what I noticed, and that's what was lacking in Game 2. I get it. It was at the Warriors' home, and they should have won both games, but the difference between Game 1 and Game 2 was the lack thereof of Al Horford, Marcus Smart, and Derek White played well. But those 3 guys they didn't have. In Game 1, those 3 had like 90% of their offense from 3.
And say those names again.
Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Derek White. Those three guys.
And you know the common thread there, the common denominator? Those guys need rest. They just need a little bit of rest. They're the type of guys, especially Al Horford, who's like, you know what? We've seen this from him. We know what type of player he is. But a little bit older, he's been in these situations. He's probably like, you know what? Don't got in the tank tonight. We're gonna pace it out. So get him some rest. And we saw this out of Boston and throughout the series, man, throughout the playoff run, where it looks like they're getting punched in the mouth. They get a little rest. The series flips to a different location. Then all of a sudden, here they come, looking like they were when they were at their strongest. So you can't count them out. The only neutralizer here is Steph Curry, though. Yeah. You know, that's the only way that if you want to say you can count them out, you got to say that. You know, I like what Poole's doing. Can you count on him?
True.
You don't know if you can really, you want to be able to say you can count on. Can you count on Draymond and Clay?
One thing you can count on with Draymond is taking people off. I love that too. Game 2, man, he was getting under everybody.
Yep.
And that's one thing that is underrated, I feel like, doesn't get talked about enough, because Jaylen Brown was playing well, and then he got into this little tiff with Draymond. You didn't see him. You didn't see him a lot after that.
Yep.
Like, it's like little stuff that you like. Hooper's like, if you're playing and a guy like that is in your face, you know, touching you, you're looking at the ref ain't calling nothing.
Yeah, so Draymond like, being Draymond.
Draymond being Draymond, frustrating the hell out of you. So, yeah, you're right, though. It's really dependent on Steph Curry. Right now, it seems like there's Steph Curry, and then there's like a drop off, and then there's the Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins. Like, there has to be it should be Clay. Talent. Should be Clay.
It's about that leadership aspect, that intangible. If he's not the guy winning the Finals MVP, I don't know how they're winning this series.
I agree with you.
They don't have the firepower that they had in previous series where, okay, they got Kevin Durant along with the healthy Klay Thompson. Okay, they have a healthy big three, or along with a young and a little bit younger Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston. This team is one where some of the players they're depending on are people historically in their careers, like Andrew Wiggins, who could not be depended on, or younger guys like Jordan Poole, who wasn't even supposed to be depended on.
True.
So that's what I'm saying. This series right here is going to be a big one. And for that, I'm going to ask everybody who their player to watch is. I think it would be easy to sit here and say Steph Curry after saying that, but I do believe the player to watch tonight is Al Horford. That's my player to watch in this game. I think how the Celtics go, we can see Brown and Tatum put up big stats and have their team in position to win. But when Al Horford is just doing what Al Horford does,
he's firing, man.
Goodness gracious, it just seems to give the Celtics a whole nother level of who they are. Even if Marcus Smart isn't scoring well, when Al Horford is just that guy, man, oh man, oh man. I want to ask you guys, who's your player to watch?
Mine's easy for me, and you can go right after is Klay Thompson. I think Klay Thompson, the impact Klay Thompson has on an efficient shooting night, that's gonna. I mean, these games have been neck and neck, and Klay has been nowhere to be found. Imagine if he hit 6, 7 threes, 8 threes one night. I mean, the game would just dramatically 4 threes. Give me 4. I mean, he shot 5 for 19 last game. So I think it's Klay Thompson. We know he isn't what he is defensively anymore. At least not as that quick twitch. It's been 2 years off basketball. Of course, he's not going to be the same. But what I'm getting on offense, I need it out of Klay, man. I just need, and I don't need you to get 35, 40. I just need a consistent 25 points on good, efficient shooting. And if he can do that, this series can change for pretty quickly.
For me, I got to go with Jason Tatum right now. And I think that we have seen him. We saw him have a great game 1 with his passing. Game 2, better, not as much. Tonight for him has to be a big shooting night. They need him to be that guy. If they to win this series, you have to win one at home. If they don't, they got to win one home. And if they want to close the series out, you got to win both games at home. Right. If you're going to be in this series, those home games for them are crucial. They already took one on the road. They got to win those games in the home. So I'm really curious to see how he reacts to the crowd. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere tonight.
Yeah.
I was telling Kool-Aid that, Steph's been to Toronto and Cleveland. I don't think they're ready for them. I don't think they're going to expect. It's going to be nuts in there tonight. I think it's going to be one of the most exciting games of the series. And I think that tonight it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be a neck-to-neck battle, and I hope to see just a shooting battle between Curry and Tatum. That's what I've been waiting for, is that shooting battle between those two guys.
There's a word I used here for one particular player, and that word was neutralizer. And that player was Steph Curry. He's seen it all. That environment is going to be fuel to his fire tonight. He's trying to get busy. And I know I said Al Horford is the player to watch tonight, but obviously Steph Curry is that guy who's going to dictate what happens in that game. If
Absolutely.
he's coming in and he's on fire from the beginning, which we haven't really seen Steph Curry just come in and be the Steph Curry we know he can be yet.
Yeah,
we haven't seen him come in and just be absolutely like, you know you're not winning.
That first quarter of game one, he hit like 6 threes.
Mm.
And what scared me is he hit 6 threes. I'm like, holy hell, I've never seen this. This guy had 6, 7 threes in the first quarter. The Boston Celtics were down 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's got to worry you a little bit. Like you have the best quarter all year from your superstar, and you're only up 4. Like again, Boston. I know people have been disrespecting him. I picked the Warriors in 6, and I'm sticking by it. But me saying that doesn't disrespect the Celtics. Are a scary. That's a championship team. It is. Like if they win, am I going to be surprised? No.
Nope.
They have a complete team, and they have a great head coach. So it's going to be a hell of a game in the Garden tonight. First time being in the finals in 10 years, 15 years? I mean, for the Celtics at least.
And probably too, because I know people like their team and their makeup. I don't know how many people are confident enough to truly say, yeah, they're going to be the championship team to represent the East in the championships. I wasn't necessarily that confident to put them there. I think some people still held out hope all season.
Sean was high on him. That son of a gun, man. Sean was high on him.
He was.
That's like the beginning of the playoffs. So I'll give him credit. Yeah.
Very, very, very consistent with his support of the Celtics. So shout out Sean.
Yeah, shout out Sean.
Definitely, man, from half court. A lot of good. Hey, I'll let you talk about it. A lot of good basketball, NBA content, and talk over it, man. Give it a plug, man.
Well, yeah, man. From Half Court, if you guys love basketball, which if you're watching this, you do. Go check out From Half Court. We talk about all NBA stuff. I mean, we're all related back to the Pistons, of course. But even if you're not a fan of the Pistons, you're just a fan, go check it out. We make content every other day, and we just released a new program to be a member. $5 a month. You get a bunch of perks, including you can watch the live streams when we make them. You can play 2K with us. We'll get it going. So go check out From Half Court on YouTube. Give it a sub for us. Big appreciation.
Check it out.
Check it out. You heard the man.
Cade Crusader. He's vouching for Jeff now.
He was grilling my ass today. Now he's got my back. He turned. He's good now.
Yeah, definitely. No, man, but support for real. A lot of these guys, a lot of us here, we're doing this because we love the Pistons. We love the interaction. We love the community. And we believe that this market deserves this type of coverage of our teams. We are a big market. We know that. And the difference has been because we haven't understood which way to get there. Now we do. We're going to bring it to you guys each and every week from multiple platforms, multiple shows, multiple personalities and opinions. Try and give you the best basketball coverage we can give you. We realize that there are voices in a lot of different corners of Pistons world that just haven't been catered to. And that's what we're trying to do here, man. But I think it's a good time to bring this to a close. I know we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
We got you in on this NBA talk. You got to go in there and say how you would take Sharpe at number 5 in the morning.
I had to explain myself.
But Matherin, that's the pick at 7. If the Pistons just so happy to say,
if they take, and I don't really, I'm not a big fan of Keegan Murray at 5, but if I'm just gonna go with Jaden Ivey at 5. Let's just assume they do. That 7th pick is gonna be interesting.
So if there's no Jaden Ivey, if he's off the board at 4.
Oh, you already know how I feel.
Who's your number 5?
I mean, we got to see if Jeremy gets traded. That's it. Because if he does, I'm taking Sharpe. I'm taking Keegan and Sharpe.
And if it's Matherin at 5, who are you taking?
Keegan or Matherin, you said?
Yep.
I'll take Ben. And that's probably because I'm so sold on having a backcourt. I want a young backcourt, and I see it with those two guys. So
for as much as I like Keegan Murray, and I talked about it before, I believe he can really, really fit with this development staff in terms of the jump that we saw Saddiq Bey make. It seems like some of the jumps I want Keegan Murray to make, Ben Matherin can already do some of those things. Obviously, he's not as efficient. Not at all. Pop-Tarts.
He told me. He made me. Funny story. He wants me to try these wild berry. He says wild berry is the best flavor out of all the Pop-Tarts. And
they're really good.
I challenged him.
I don't know if they're the best, but they are really good.
I challenged him. He's like, I'll bring him in. You try them. I was like, all right.
Tell him to come in real quick before we close up there.
Hey, Chris.
Because he's a basketball guy, too. I don't appreciate the shirt, but.
Oh, no, he's chilling.
No. If he ain't working.
Hey, Chris.
Hey,
Chris, come in here.
You're going to get these Pop-Tarts, man. Go in here. Hold up. We're recording, but I want to get you. You got the Pop-Tarts?
Yes, I do. You doing this on air? Don't do this to yourself because you was talking smack.
Let's go. The
Should I
Cade.
try?
I'm
Should I
sorry.
try the
I'm
Pop
not-
Tart
I'm
on
not the
there?
right voice. The Cade Crusader says, "Bringeth the Pop Tart."
All right, let's get the Pop Tart. Let me try these. People want to see it.
Yep.
You guys like berry?
What a Woodward Pistons podcast.
What's your favorite flavor?
I'm like a s'mores chocolate chip, like strawberry. I like all the basic,
Cinnamon
really
brown
delicious.
sugar for me,
Yeah,
man. You
that's
can't-
another
you can't
one.
beat it.
The Eggo one's good.
The berry though.
Listen, bro, I got a box. Y'all can all try this.
No, open. I only want to give me like half of them. Like someone else can take the other Pop Tart if you want. Try it. If you want to try it, Andrew.
I'll try it. Why
All right. I'll say I'm curious. See what all the hype's about. Oh God. Man, look at this inconsistent. Boy's inconsistent. It's like a kid just drew a little blue on it. It looks like. All right.
Show the people.
Oh, look at this Pop Tart.
Just so they can see.
Come on, man.
Thank you.
Come on.
Best Pop Tart flavor.
So, all right, you ready?
I'm ready.
I think you're gonna die.
What do you think?
It's not toasted in all fairness, but crack, right?
What do you think?
It's not bad. It's actually pretty good. Just like
Actually-
strawberry, but it's like a fruit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like. That. Yeah.
Yeah, like a
It's
little bit of
kinda like-
strawberry.
It's got a little fruitiness. It's not like too sweet, but it's got good sweetness to it.
That's right. Put some
I might have been hating. Hey.
Hey, thank you.
respect. Big respect.
Mad
My man
respect.
Chris,
Breaking up with the berry, bro. He's a real one. He's a real one. No, these are good. All right, I was hating. I was talking smack. Anybody in the comments, man, if you love these Pop Tarts, please explain to me why. Because my first time trying it ever.
And what is your favorite
Does this
flavor?
The Woodward Pistons invite those Pop Tarts?
Oh, for sure. For sure. We'll get
I
Chris.
think
on
so, man. I think so.
there. My man Chris has to be on here. All right.
We definitely. So, let me get a little piece off the back, man.
Dude, take one right now. Give me your honest
I gotta see.
evaluation. This is This man's like,
It's not bad.
That's
I
how
could
I
do this
feel.
again.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not the best.
Not
but
the
it's
best,
not
but not bad.
No.
It's not bad.
Give it out of 10. What you guys rate it?
You're like a 6.5.
6.5. I'll give it like a 7 and a 7.5.
I'll say like a
I'm right
7.
around where Andrew is.
My favorite's
6.7.
Pop Tart Sunday.
So we right around 7. That's solid.
It passes the test. So, no more grilling.
All right, boys. I have to go spit this out. I'm joking.
Hey, look. Shout out Chris for the Pop Tart.
Yep.
Show. Definitely.
Yep.
But look, man, for the Woodward Pistons podcast, for Mr. Andrew Jonna.
Andrew!
Thank you for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, for Mr. Jeff Freddy. From the legend, Mr. Detroit News Rod Beard. It looks like he's in approval of the show.
Yeah, no, he's having fun.
Yep. Hey, and the first show with the Woodward Pistons canvas, man. Shout out to Woodward Sports
Sir.
for doing this. Nick Leach for thinking of us, Stick, and everybody else. Yo, look. Oh my gosh, man, the interns. We're gonna have to set them up. One day, we're gonna have one of these cameras pointed that way,
Yeah,
so that
no,
you
for
guys
sure.
can see what we see.
Yeah, we see a lot of
Yeah,
things
We're gonna
coming
do
at
this.
us.
One episode is
I'm
gonna
down.
be the just office episode, and we're gonna prank them, bro. Y'all
I'm down
gotta
with
stay tuned in. We're gonna have that picture-in-picture camera. Yo, that's gonna be great. But definitely, man. Look for the Woodward Pistons podcast. Definitely tell us who you guys want.
Yep.
Sharpe, Mathurin at number 7. If the Pistons get that other pick,
Does it change?
hey, does it change? Let us know what you think about Saddiq Bey. Hey, grill Jeff. Make sure he doesn't miss any more shows.
Never.
Definitely, man. And hey, tell us if you love it, hate it, subscribe, all of that, man. Give us your likes. Support Woodward Pistons, Woodward Sports from Half Court, and everybody you see on the show.
Yep.
Until next